Guys, you're never going to believe this. Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces are connected! Whoa! Hey guys, it's the Lyoko Gem, and welcome yet again to another video about Sonic, since I guess I accidentally became a Sonic tuber or whatever. But I digress. The long-awaited analysis to everyone's favorite game, Sonic Mania, is here, and I, the Lyoko Gem, will be fishing through the game to see what kinds of secrets I can uncover. So without further ado, let's begin by going through the overall game and see the story. So first off, we've got Sonic and Tails, as they always are, being bros and venturing in the wild. After detecting some dimensional disturbances going on, they are quick to get to Angel Island. They land and are immediately met by some egg robos, who are currently excavating on the island and unearth the Phantom Ruby, that apparently had been hiding underneath the ground the whole time. Anyway, the Phantom Ruby is unearthed and it sends Sonic and Tails to Green Hill Zone, while the egg robos make an escape. However, in their escape, they run into the Guardian of the Master Emerald, Knuckles, who's just chilling and gets into Green Hill Zone as well, although a little ways behind Sonic and Tails. So upon arrival to Green Hill Zone, the Egg Robos have now become a new band of robots called the Hard-Boiled Heavies, each with their own unique abilities to give Sonic & Co. a run for their money. Actually, I have a question. Why does Knuckles see them become the Heavies as well? Is he too in a different frame of time and reality? Because it really doesn't make sense that Sonic and Tails see the Heavies become the Heavies, and then Knuckles also sees the Heavies become the Heavies. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles go through Green Hill Zone, and it's cool. They're met by some bosses, we get a very CD-inspired remix that gives me a sense of childhood nostalgia, even if I didn't play the Genesis games until my early to mid-teens, and move on to where we see Eggman for the first time in the Death Egg robot. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles kick its butt and send it back to the scrap heap. Mad Eggman yells at the Hard-Boiled Heavies and angrily points at the Sonic heroes before taking the Phantom Ruby and teleporting them to Chemical Plant Zone. We get a healthy dose of nostalgia in Chemical Plant Zone and bounce around a bit and play Puyo Puyo for some reason before we go through a pipe and end up in Studiopolis Zone. When I got to Studiopolis Zone, I think I reacted pretty calmly. We're here! We're here! Studiopolis! Totally calm. But that's besides the point. It was lights, camera, action, all up in the studio. It was the first new zone of the game, and it was truly breathtaking. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles learned what it truly meant to be in the spotlight, and also fought their first Heavy, the Heavy Gunner, who didn't stand a chance against them. After take 2 in the studio, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles end up with Eggman for their second take. They meet up with Eggman again, who can't decide whether or not to rain on their parade or blow us away with his power. In the end, he ended up sunny side up, and the final act was met with a thunderous applause. I am so sorry for those puns. But those puns didn't stop the Sonic heroes as Flying Battery returned and made its way to the skies. You did some Flying Battery stuff, and it was cool, and it rained, and that was also cool, and you fought Eggman again at the end. And it's one of the best returning zones in the game, but shh. But extra, read all about it. Lyoko Gem has no idea how they got to Press Garden. Like seriously, what the heck? They were on top of the warship, and then somehow they're inside Eggman's printing press for some reason? What? Okay. But our heroes arrive in Press Garden, bounce around, let it go, and run into the Heavy Shinobi, who attempts to slice and dice his way to victory, but fails. We then run into Eggman again, and this is interesting, as it seems he's located Metal Sonic on Little Planet. Interesting that he'd be looking for Metal, but looks like he found him on Little Planet and decided to teleport Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles over there using the Phantom Ruby. The three arrive on Stardust Speedway, travel to the future version of the level, and run into Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic becomes Scrap Metal, and after Stardust Speedway, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles end up in Hydrocity Zone. And, are they still in the future? How did they get down here from Stardust Speedway? Okay, whatever. They're in Hydrocity Zone. And yes, Hydrocity, not Hydro City. Oops. Anyways, we have some underwater adventures with Eggman. And then, we have no transition, but somehow the three are on the tornado now and flying through the skies of Mirage Saloon, where Eggman's up to no good on a train. Spoiler alert, this is the best new level. But they're flying through the skies, and the heavy magician,
oh no,
Knuckles, off of the tornado, to where he's forced to have his own little adventure in the lower levels of Mirage Saloon. Meanwhile, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles take to the skies and handle a kinda creepy badnik that the heavy ninjas got until they run into one of the hooligans. Now, there's a little bit of discrepancy about whether or not these are the real hooligans at this time, but a friend of mine made the argument that we already saw the heavy magician leave, and it doesn't make sense that it'd be on board one of the badniks, so it very likely could be the real hooligans. But anyways, it's Act 2. It's revealed that the hooligans are wanted fugitives in the desert. Knuckles eventually runs into Sonic and Tails again, and they fight the heavy magician, who attacks you as the hooligans. But she has her curtain call and they're shot off to Oil Ocean. Spoiler alert, it's the worst zone, period. Anywho, after Oil Ocean, we somehow end up in Lava Reef, and okay. Anywho, Act 1, Team Heroes is looking pretty hot and making their way through like pros. But in Act 2, the heat gets to the team a little bit and causes Knuckles to split paths with Sonic and Tails. While the bros go to face the Heavy Rider, Knuckles finds himself in Hidden Palace, where the Master Emerald is. There, he encounters the Heavy King, who is trying to take the precious jewel, and of course, we can't have that. Overall, those bosses are pretty fun.
Whoa.
And then after Lava Reef, Knuckles gets teleported from the Emerald Altar and ends up on Little Planet in Metallic Madness. And I guess somehow Sonic and Tails end up there too, and okay. So they go through Metallic Madness Zone, and I guess remain split up. There we reach Titanic Monarch, which is still on Little Planet. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles eventually run into each other and fight Eggman, who has the Phantom Ruby to power up his giant baby bouncer thing. And you also see the heavies again for the final showdown. Once Eggman is defeated, the Phantom Ruby warps Sonic, Eggman, and the Heavy King to a new location outside of time and space, where the Heavy King has been warped by the Phantom Ruby. Tails and Knuckles are left behind and are forced to escape Little Planet. There, Eggman and the Heavy King fight for the Phantom Ruby using the Chaos Emeralds that Sonic has collected over the course of the game. He ends the conflict between them. However, something interesting happens when Sonic wins the fight. The Phantom Ruby, using its warping powers, scatters the Chaos Emeralds and sends itself and Sonic into an unknown location. Where is that location? Well, I think it's obvious. Now, I think it's fair to say that we've got the story of Mania down, but what other things can we learn about Mania? Well, for starters, it's kinda obvious that the Phantom Ruby has something to do with Infinite, since it's literally right there on his chest, but there's more evidence to it than that. For starters, the Phantom Ruby in the instruction manual is stated to cause dimensional disturbances, and its residual energies are what cause Eggman, Sonic, and Tails to go to Angel Island in the first place. We've seen some of this at work already, not only in the times where we've seen it teleport things left and right, but also in the way it sort of bends reality to its will, lending its power to make things stronger. And what do I mean by this? Let's take a look at some of the best robots in the franchise, the Hard-Boiled Heavies, but shh, don't tell Omega. But no, the Hard-Boiled Heavies are a true testament to the powers and abilities of the Phantom Ruby, as it turned a group of ordinary egg robos into fully functional, operational, and tactical killing machines, each with their own array of skills and personalities. If we compare that to Infinite, who knows what kind of things he could do with that power. Ah yes, the infamous Metal Sonic gives us some insight into this. You see, while he hasn't initially changed form, all the Mystic Red cubes that he's got floating around him and dishing out, is it possible that Infinite is sharing his power with the others using the Phantom Ruby, like the Heavies? Heck, dare I say, is it possible that the Phantom Ruby can make the villains change form, say in the case of Metal Sonic to Metal Overlord, or Shadow into his super form? Actually, it's the idea of changing forms that gives me an idea. Let's look at Chaos. Now, sorry not sorry, but he's the weakest of the group. He's in his Zero form, which can hardly do anything, and I don't care how much you dislike Zavik, but Chaos is the weakest because he is in Zero form. But if the Phantom Ruby can initiate the power to make things change forms, then could we see Chaos use the Phantom Ruby's power from Infinite to become some of the different forms, or even a new form called Phantom Chaos, since it seems to be able to create unique and individualistic forms like the Heavies? This would be interesting to see, honestly. But that aside, the Phantom Ruby also displays the ability to create entirely new realms outside of time, where time both exists and also doesn't, as seen in the final boss location in Mania. Actually, that makes me think, if Infinite has the Phantom Ruby in his grasp, then could we see this sort of thing? What if I told you we actually already may have gotten a glimpse of that? Oh yes, we have in fact gotten a glimpse of this sort of thing, at least I think we have. Remember the weird cards from Gamescom week? We saw the Resistance base for the first time amongst some really cool things. But you know what else we saw? This. Yeah, I was wondering what this was while scripting this video, but then it came to me. I think that this will be in the game and its infinite version of the realm from the end of Sonic Mania. But I don't think we'll be playing hot potato with the Phantom Ruby again. Whatever happens here is going to be interesting, to say the least. It should also be noted that in the semi-final boss fight with Eggman, the Phantom Ruby is also seen to be able to project astral projections of some sort that can harden and interfere with others on the outside. Whether or not this is a result of Eggman's tampering, or if it's an actual ability, I'm not sure, but regardless, it was used in this way, and I think that we can compare that ability to that of Infinite's cubes, which seem to at least have similar color scheme and might possibly have similar abilities. With all of that said, I'd also like to move on to Titanic Monarch itself. It's on Little Planet, we know that much, but here's the thing, it's cool and all in that it's there and has a lot of stuff going on, but the amount of dimensional shenanigans going on there is kind of ridiculous. Now, Little Planet is a really weird place, sure, but I'm gonna bet that this is due to the Phantom Ruby and all of its strange powers. Let's start with the fact that bottomless pits are non-existent in this place. The fact that in Act 2, the place not only is teleporting you to different areas with this strange miasmic energy, but also the fact that it makes sure that you can't fall to your doom in bottomless pits is strange. I really don't know what to make of it, except that it's odd that this thing's color scheme is purple rather than the usual reddish color like the portals and most of the other stuff associated with the Phantom Ruby. It's odd, but I think we've seen it before. I'm sure most of you know where I'm going with this. But the Time Eater and all of its energy from Sonic Generations had a very similar color and shading to it. In fact, the weird anti-gravity portal things are very similar to the way the Time Eater portals look in Sonic Generations. The only main difference being that the ones in Generations swirl, rather than these ones which just seem to electrify in a field around themselves. Is it possible that Phantom Ruby could have some kind of ties towards the Time Eater? This would make sense due to just everything strange that has been happening with the ability to make realms much like the one outside of time and space, much like the final boss fight in Generations. Plus, it makes even more sense since back in the Enter Infinite video, I theorized that Infinite was standing in front of the Time Eater gates in a particular scene, which actually ties everything together. The Phantom Ruby, I believe, is created from some of the energy of the Time Eater for sure, with some of the evidence lining up. Perhaps it was created through some of the residual energy mixed with the Chaos energy left from the Chaos Emeralds that was all over the place with both Classic and Modern Sonic being Super, and I guess that energy condensed and created the Phantom Ruby that kind of plopped into existence on Angel Island for whatever reason. Or made itself where it's always existed in that timeline, but didn't make it where the energy didn't get picked up until then. I don't know guys, this time travel stuff is weird and I'm spitballing here. But I guess with the note of the Time Eater stuff, I should say what I think about Classic Sonic. This is my definitive theory of who he is, and I'm not going to change it until proven wrong. But I believe that Classic Sonic is the Classic Sonic we met in Sonic Generations, who went home and everything. But due to the events of Generations, history changes a bit due to the new presence of the Phantom Ruby. causing them not to go down the route of Sonic Adventure, but instead Sonic Mania. Then Mania happens, and Classic Sonic is sent to Forces. This means that Classic Sonic is still a younger Sonic, but now no longer from the same timeline. If we ever see this Classic Sonic grow up, which I doubt, but if we do, then it's likely that he won't be the same as modern Sonic. Furthermore, this also means that Sonic Mania did not happen to modern Sonic, meaning he never encountered the hard-boiled heavies or the Phantom Ruby or anything like that. Because I'm 90% sure if he did, he'd take one look at Infinite and be all, "What's this guy doing with the Phantom Ruby?" Or something along those lines, and I'm sorry for that Roger impression. So yeah, Classic Sonic is Generation Sonic who is younger, but he will not grow up to be modern Sonic that we know, since the future has officially been changed for him. And with the note of Classic Sonic and who he is out of the way, there's just one minor thing I want to point out, and that is the fact that while Little Planet left Tails and Knuckles behind, the portal never actually really closed, and that could mean a lot of different things. For one, we know that since Little Planet is out of Knuckles and Tails' reach, I doubt Classic Tails and Knuckles will show up in Sonic Forces, which is a pity because Classic Tails is adorable. But then again, we don't want to scar this kid for life with all this stuff happening, so probably for the best. But no, if the portal, as far as we know, didn't close, then who's to say other things can't get through it? We're not sure if Classic Eggman made his way off of Little Planet, so he could come back and get into the portal himself. But that's just a thought. But yeah, I think that will do for this analysis. I went through everything I could about Mania that I found notable, and talked about how it may relate to Forces. But hey, these are all theories, and I could be totally wrong. But what do you all think? Did you spot anything that you may have theories about that I might have missed? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video and want to hear more from the Lyoko Gem, then subscribe and follow my social media accounts at Tumblr, Twitter, and Discord, all linked below. But thanks so much for watching and being patient with me for this video's release. But with all of that being said, this has been the Lyoko Gem, a warping out.